Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rosalie Weekman. I'm the Chief Executive of the Matthew Project. And the Matthew Project is a charity. We've been working in the drug and alcohol field in Norfolk for nearly 30 years. We'll be 30 next year. We've established a strong reputation locally for providing high-quality services to both young people and adults in innovative and effective ways. Put simply, the Matthew Project's work is about supporting people with drug and alcohol-related issues, providing innovative education about the risks of drugs and alcohol, and empowering people to make more informed choices. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the project that we're running for veterans and serving personnel. First of all, though, I just want to give you a little bit of background to why we decided to set up the project. And I'm going to whip through these slides quite quickly because we've had some stats earlier today, and I'm conscious of time and that I'll be kept to time. So in terms of prevalence of the need for this kind of project, we looked at research carried out by Dr. Nicola Fear from 2007 that looked at patterns of drinking in the UK Armed Forces. And her research suggests that compared to the general population, the levels of drinking are higher in those who are currently serving or who have served in the military. So this slide looks at drinking at a level that was considered by the World Health Organization to be harmful to one's health, and it was found to occur in 67% of men, 49% of women within the UK Armed Forces, and that was compared to 38% of men and 16% of women in the general population, and that was even after accounting for age. We then move on to heavy drinking, and again shown to be more prevalent in the UK military compared to the general population. And finally, alcohol dependence. And you'll see again shown to be higher. Particularly in men, it's shown to be twice the level within serving personnel compared to the general population, and 5 times the level in women. It's also, there was some research that seemed to demonstrate that those levels of dependency didn't change once people had left the armed services, so they stayed the same, which I think is quite interesting for how we then work with veterans. Moving on to drug use in the armed forces. Obviously, illegal drug use is strongly discouraged in the armed forces. A positive drug test for illegal drugs can and does result often in immediate administrative discharge. And yet, despite this, in the 3 years between 2009 and 2012, nearly 1,500 military personnel failed the drug test, and the largest numbers of those being in the army. Given the significant and life-changing implications of any suspected drug use, it can be really difficult for serving personnel to admit to any illegal drug use or misuse of prescription medication as well. And therefore, they risk not being able to get that necessary help and support to address their problem before it becomes a significant problem. On discharge, if they are then discharged, ex-service personnel might find that the stigma of the reasons for their discharge actually then prevent them from accessing help in the community following that. So, we then looked at what the need is, whether there was a need for specialist services. And we believe that there were, and there was a need for specialist services. So, obviously there are recommendations that particular attention should be paid to service personnel's drinking patterns and behaviours at the time of discharge to promote sensible drinking, and that is really important, but it's often quite difficult to action. Attention tends to concentrate on practicalities such as housing, money, employment concerns, and so alcohol and drinking behaviour doesn't necessarily get that particular attention. Personnel who are discharged due to drug use are unlikely to receive accurate information regarding where to access help in the community, and that's for 2 key reasons. Drug treatment services and alcohol treatment services are constantly being retendered. They are locality based. They can vary widely in the services that are provided, and they change periodically as tenders are won and lost. How would people know which is the right agency to refer people to if there's a wide variety within it and they're constantly changing? It can be confusing enough if you work within the services. Secondly, discharge plans relating to locality and address for the personnel may not be known or even finalised, so it's sometimes not possible to even give out the relevant information for that locality for where that person is being discharged to. Ex-service personnel are often advised, therefore, to speak to their GP when they're registered, but many don't feel able or comfortable in doing this until their problems become so severe that medical attention is vital. And added to this is the potential for ex-service personnel to experience significant feelings of institutionalisation, particularly in those who've served longer periods in the armed forces, and they might not therefore feel able or be aware of where to seek help and support in the civilian community. onto our project. We set up a project in June of this year called Outside the Wire, and we looked at some of the research that was carried out, and we also asked our own service users who were ex-serving personnel themselves what services they would like, what would work for them, what they felt wasn't working currently, and what we could set up that would be really helpful. So we came up with these 4 main areas about the service that we wanted to deliver under Outside the Wire. We employ trained, experienced drug and alcohol workers who are themselves veterans. They speak the same language, they understand the realities of military life, they understand the transition to civilian life. We feel that it helps to build rapport and it helps to eliminate the barriers to accepting help and treatment that our service users have identified as a problem for them. Therefore, we are credible, and that breaks down the barriers. So, we have 1-page referral forms. I'm a big believer in if things can be fitted onto 1 page, they should be. People haven't got time to fill in long forms, and neither do we need all the information that they have in their heads. We have 1-page referral forms for agencies to send to us. But we also take self-referrals. We are keen to work in partnership with both other services, charities, and with mainstream drug and alcohol treatment services, and with other partners such as criminal justice agencies, the police and the prison services. Clients and friends and families can make self-referrals to us. We want to make it easy for people to get help. They can email us, they can phone us. We actually take very few details from people. We just take enough so that we can set up an appointment for them. We have a quick turnaround time, and we aim to provide the first appointment within 1 week, and then we continue to see people. We don't have a waiting list at the moment. And we aim to see people quickly. We want to be responsive. One of the issues that our service users raised for us was that they didn't want to see someone or be told they're on a waiting list for 6 months and not see anyone, or be seen once and not seen again for 3 months. We want to support them, we want to do that quickly. We will see people wherever they want to be seen across the county of Norfolk. There is a huge stigma attached to drug and alcohol use. This group of clients can be hard to reach, and we know that. They often do not like to admit they need help, and they find the civilian system hard to navigate. We want to make it easy for people to access help and support and not put further barriers in their way. There are enough there as it is. We will therefore see people in our offices, in their own homes, or neutral places. We've even been known to see people in supermarket cafes. We'll see people wherever they want to be seen, wherever they choose. We listen to their needs. We help them to develop their own recovery plan and either develop the support ourselves or refer them into specialist clinical services as appropriate. But the difference is we don't refer them on. We stay with them for as long as they need us. We walk alongside them through their treatment, and we remain with them until there's no longer a need for us. We look to engage them in the local community. We look to get them involved in peer support. We look at increasing their employability and get them back into work if they haven't got work. We also work with family, friends and carers in exactly the same way, as they are often hidden sufferers, and we heard about that this morning. They need just as much support and help, and they often feel they've got nowhere to turn. That's fine. I'm going to hand over to Andy now to talk to you through a case study of someone that we've worked with recently.
Thank you very much. My name's Andy Wicks. I served in the Air Force for 22 years as a policeman, so don't hold it against me, please. I just want to tell you about Sharon. So Sharon is 26 now. She joined the army at 16, and she was sent to a very male-dominated squadron where she was the only female. She completed a couple of tours in Afghanistan. Now, I know we're only talking about Afghanistan here, but obviously I see people from Northern Ireland, Belize, Falklands, so all that era as well, Bosnia, etc. She was involved in 2 separate incidents. One was a skirmish, the other was a suicide bomber when she was manning a VCP who blew himself up, basically then told to go out and clean up the mess. So obviously, you know, had all that built up. Like I say, she was in a very male-dominated situation where really she didn't have anywhere to go and let off steam. As we, as veterans, you know, or even current service personnel, we will go and, you know, it's a bit of the old banter, let's get on with the job. She didn't have that option. She came back, she settled, she left the army at 25, she ended up getting a job and she settled in a coastal town, but due to the isolation she wasn't managed to cope, so she was struggling a little bit and a little bit of PTSD there. So obviously, you know, she started drinking and ended up getting arrested for aggravated assault against a kebab house, believe it or not, and obviously, you know, that was the cause of the drinking. Basically by telling them all to go home, etc., etc. I don't need to explain the rest. She turned to SAFA, obviously doing partnership working with SAFA, who then referred to Combat Stress. Combat Stress actually asked us to speak to her regards her substance misuse. being the alcohol. So basically I've been seeing her for 4 months now. She's doing well. She's kept her job, she's making friends again, she's moved back with her family and rebuilding that trust within her family, but she still has a long way to go. When I'd said to a couple of my guys that was coming here today, they really want to come, but I said, you know, let's write something down, and Rosalie is going to write a little, just say a little letter now that she's actually written. This is from her. So.
We really like feedback because it's really important to us. We really do put the service user at the heart of what we do, and we respond to feedback. This is what Sharon said. Well, when I first approached Andy and called him explaining my situation, in floods of tears and a bit of a state, he arranged to drive to see me as soon as he possibly could. I spent an hour with him sobbing and explaining the suffering I was going through and all the bad experiences that I've been facing due to alcohol. He was very understanding and listened to everything I had to say and reassured me that things will get better and that I've tackled the hardest hurdle, admitting that I have a problem and seeking help. Since our initial contact, I've been seeing him on a weekly basis. He drives over to me and we have our meetings at my house. I think this is really good as it is in familiar surroundings and doesn't seem to feel like you're getting treatment in a certain way. We discuss what has been happening that week, my alcohol consumption, my behaviour, my ups, my downs. We carry out different coping mechanism exercises and also practice some relaxation techniques. I feel very comfortable opening up to Andy and he's really helped me by giving me a sense of hope. I hope that I can get over this illness and help me to believe in myself again. It's helping me to stay focused and concentrate on the important things in life. My alcohol consumption has definitely decreased and my coping skills have got better. I still have a long way to go, but with this help and support, I feel that I'll be able to get over my PTSD and be able to control my drinking and aggression. Thank you very much for your time.